I know. This review is late as hell. Listen, I'm getting through this grief thing. I'm having a good mental health day. So we about to do this. All right, let's get into the K Michelle show featuring the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Welcome to the Asia Esterak Hour, where film meets conspiracy and pop culture gets a reality check. From sharp recaps to sci-fi theories and media deep dives, Asia Esterak serves it unfiltered. Let the binge begin.
All right, welcome back to the Asia Esterak Hour. I'm Asia Esterak. All right, all jokes aside, I have been really late on my reviews. Anybody that's been following me, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you sticking with me. Just my father passing, and then my appendix decided to rupture about 2 weeks ago. So I was down for the count with that. I've been dealing with a lot. I've been hella depressed. I'm having a good mental health day, and I felt like I wanted to do these reviews. So anyway, enough of the mushy shit. Let's get into it. The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 17, episode 2. All right, so we open with, the montage of the ladies. Phaedra and Aiden driving. It just solidifies that I'm getting older. So Aiden is driving to high school, but he's driving his mom. It's just such a contrast. And of course, she's telling him how to drive, and they have a little tete-a-tete with that typical teenager parent type stuff. But it's just crazy to see that he's like 16. We watched him being born. It's crazy. Anyway, so we get to Portia, K Michelle, and Kelly are all meeting up. Portia says that she really wants to try to, I guess, reestablish her relationship with Kelly. Girl, I don't know why. I don't think Kelly is going to be genuine with you, just like I don't think you're going to be that genuine with Kelly. Portia, I like you, but Portia is calculated. So I said this to my friend and my mom. Portia, if you really think about it, Portia at this point in her journey on the show, she's almost like the final boss. She's lived everything you could live on this show, on a Housewives franchise. So I kind of feel like at this point, it really is there's not much that's gonna shock her and come at her. Um, and I feel like with Kelly, you're still new. This is your second season. And I think some of the off color comments that you make, and then the whole just being really aloof, like, I don't, the whole, who said that? That type of energy, that acting like you don't know and confused about stuff and playing dumb. I don't think that's going to work with Portia. Not on this. I think she's been on this show long enough where she knows how to play the game. And I'd say she's playing it well. Wrong, right, or indifferent, whether you like her or not, Portia's playing the game. I'm just saying, as much as I watch reality TV, if I came on this type of show, she's somebody I would definitely be intimidated by because she's been on it longer, and she's survived every type of public scrutiny. I just mean, like, Portia has literally she's experienced probably every type of public scrutiny you can experience on this type of a show. So she's definitely a worthy adversary. Kelly, I don't know if you are right now, but I don't know. Kelly gives me clout chaser, and we already know that she's not good in her relationships because look how you treated old girl last season. Whether we liked her or not, that wasn't very nice. That wasn't nice at all. It just seems like you jump ship to whatever is shiny, newer, richer, and has more publicity. But all that being said, I still respect you as a businesswoman, and I still think it's dope that you're still powering on and doing what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. So I respect that. But anyway, let's get back to the scene. So they're all meeting up. Basically, Portia wants to reestablish and I guess clear some things up with Kelly. Um, she invites K Michelle. And it's funny because in this scene, I realized, why is K Michelle here? What was the point of her even being in this scene? Even she at some point questioned that. K Michelle is the star of this motherfucker. She's damn near in every scene. I'm just saying, especially in episode 3. But we'll get to that review in a little bit. But anyway, so they're all talking about the last event, and they joke about K Michelle trying to get her wig off when she was leaving. That's why I love Kay, because Kay is like she always talks about her insecurities, but then the irony is it's like you're insecure in some areas but so secure in others. You're so secure that you're like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna take my wig off and act crazy on camera. Like, I don't know, I love me some K. What can I say? Wrong, right? I love me some K. But anyway, so she talks about how she performed at the it's the Academy of Country Music, and they were honoring Reese Palmer. She's a black woman in the country music world, and she's basically been fighting for black artists to get more visibility and, exposure and recognition in country music. I find that so fucking ironic because black people invented country music. And the irony that now we're the ones fighting for visibility in a fucking genre that we fucking created. Ain't that a fucking bitch? Anyway, so they actually showed a little bit of the clip on Bravo. They obviously couldn't play the music. I actually saw a clip online. K Michelle has the voice of a fucking angel. If you get a chance, look up that clip of her performance. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So Portia and Kelly, they start talking about how, well, Portia's like, I really want to get to know you better. And Kelly's like, me too. So Portia brings up the fact, she brings up a comment that Kelly made in an interview, one of the Bravo after shows. And Portia's like, I just want to, what you said really bothered me. It kind of hurt my feelings. You had made a comment saying, I wish Portia would quit sleeping with married men. And she's like, I was really bothered by that. And of course they show it. I would be bothered by that too. And so Portia, because you know her, just she starts off sweet and then she pew pew get your ass. She goes, I didn't like that you would say that about me when you yourself have done the same thing. Kelly's like, what? Whoever the cameraman was on K Michelle, he needs a raise because her facial expressions, her sitting in the middle of them and that uncomfortable shit was hilarious. So she's like, Kelly's like, what are you talking about? And Portia's like, well, you've slept with a married man. Portia's like, Kelly's like, I've never slept with a married man. And K Michelle's just, baby, I was dying. So Portia, because we know how Portia is, she's looking at Kelly with that determined, like, bitch, I got you. And again, she's been on this show long enough to know that you don't say shit unless you know it to be true. And you know that she's going to come with some receipts. Okay, so Portia proceeds to tell Kelly that during BET weekend, Kelly slept with a dude that was married. And I guess the guy knew somebody that Portia knew, and the dude that Kelly, very convoluted and ridiculous. Portia, in typical bimbo-ish, K Michelle's words, fashion, the way you brought it back was ridiculous. I don't think that you would, I think at this point in the game, you're not going to make some shit up because of all the, well, you know what? Maybe you will. I'm That's that Gemini shit, y'all. In the last clip, I was saying that she would, and now I'm saying I don't know. Bear with me, fuck it. But no. So basically, Portia knew a guy who knew the dude that Kelly allegedly slept with this married, and the guy apparently was texting the guy that Portia knew and was relaying what Kelly was saying. And at one point, she had mentioned Dennis and Portia. So they cut to K Michelle in the middle looking at them, and they cut to her confessional, and she's like, I am confused. Girl, I watched that clip a few times and I still don't understand. But I guess the whole point of Portia even mentioning that to Kelly was to tell her, I know something about you, and I chose to bring it up to you in the same fashion that you brought up that comment that you made about me. Because she was saying, well, I'm bringing up the way you brought it up in private. And then Kelly's like, well, this isn't in private. But Kelly, what you said on the after show obviously wasn't in private. There's cameras. Portia, weird way of bringing it up, but I understand her intention. It just landed kind of weird. My thing is all it did was make you look kind of weird and maybe unpredictable. But then again, I wouldn't put it past her for it to be true, you know, because of maybe hopefully she's learned from her past indiscretions. Child, I don't know. Portia be having blonde moments a lot, but I still like her. She's insane. But anyway, um, so what's weird is like right after that, they kind of make up. Like they make up Kelly. I think Kelly, we know clocked what Portia was doing. But Portia, I'm gonna say this. In this scene, you definitely you make you put yourself in a position where you're coming off like somebody who's not trustworthy, like someone that you would be uneasy about. Because Kelly does say in the confessional, she tries to act like she's all nice and she wants to be your friend and then she brings this to you. Here's my thing though, Kelly, on the flip side, you did make that comment about her. I don't know, like why would you think that she wasn't going to address that comment? Here's what I'm realizing. Portia and Kelly have a lot of similarities and they both are playing. I'm sorry, this is shaking a lot. It's because I'm holding it. Sorry. But they both play the aloof, I don't understand. What do you mean? Who said that game? They both do that. And they're doing it to each other. That's why the scene was like weird and funny. But at the same time, I don't feel like Portia's lying. I don't know. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that relationship continues to play out. Um, we're not even a quarter through episode 2, and I feel like so much has happened. This season is good so far. I'm digging this season. Okay, so we go over to Pinky's house. So in my previous review, I said that I wasn't sure about Pinky Cole yet, like I wasn't feeling her. Um, we can ignore all that. Fucking love Pinky. Love Pinky. I think that she was one of the best casting choices besides K Michelle. Might even be better than K Michelle in the fact that she is relatable, she's down to earth, and she is transparent. And I get genuine energy from her. The fact that she is on national television and she is a Black woman who is successful, who has seen all sides of the spectrum, who has experienced failure, and the fact that she is taking us, the audience, on this journey, I can appreciate that. I see we're all so used to seeing the wins and people online posed up and when everything's great. I like when they show the struggle because that's what you need to see. It was giving Candy Burris for me because that's for me why I always love Candy. Because number one, I always felt that she was real and genuine, but she showed us the highs and lows of her business. Remember when her traveling play didn't work out and that shit really got to her? And she felt like it was because of the promoter, bad business moves. Same with Pinky. So when we get to Pinky's house, first of all, love her house, love her family, love her husband. Mom's awesome too. Um, so Pinky is she's vegan, she's Jamaican. She started her company in 2018, Slutty Vegan. What she called it, a ghost kitchen, and then she got a food truck, and then the rest is history. And basically she overexpands. She said that they opened 14 locations in a very short amount of time. That's crazy. I had a brick and mortar business. I had one and that shit was a lot. I couldn't even imagine 14. There's no way. But basically it went tits up. The people that she put in place couldn't do what she needed them to do. And she ended up losing her business and temporarily at some point didn't even own it and had to fight to get it back. So it's interesting that she's on this show because we're meeting her when she's just starting to rebuild and get back up and gain momentum again. Very smart to get on this show. I think the timing, what is it? All God's timing. Perfect timing. Um, I really like Pinky. And she actually makes this comment in the 3rd episode, but I just want to say it now. She talks about how it's hard being the strong friend and the strong person all the time. Boy, can I relate to that. So when she's in the house with her husband and they're talking about her business, and here's the flip side, I'm going to interrupt myself. Her husband is also has a food business. What is it? Famous Dave's. I'm sorry, I feel bad. I cannot remember the name. It was Famous Dave something. But anyway, so this is what's wild, the contrast. Her husband, his business is killing it. She said he's like number 6 in the country. And then she was killing it, lost everything, and now she's having to rebuild it. So when she's telling this story and her husband are talking about this situation and going through it and just like the contrast of the two, it was so deep when her husband said, it's hard because for him, he's like, for me, I'm going through a season of some of my biggest wins and trying to be supportive to you too. Like that's a lot on a marriage. That's a lot. Um, I really like them. I really like Pinky. I like her. I thought this was a really good scene. I just think she's really relatable. I can relate to her. And my thing is when I get discouraged, and I think everybody does this, but like for me, when I get discouraged, I just get really negative and want to give the fuck up. And like her situation, I could see somebody going, you know what, fuck it, just fuck it all, fuck it. But she's like, no, I'm gonna get my shit back. We're gonna try this shit again, and I'm gonna do it smarter this time. I love that. I love that. I like Pinky Cole. I'm a fan. I think she's a great addition to this show. She has a beautiful family, and I look forward to seeing more of what she does on this show and seeing more of Slutty Vegan, especially because I'm not trying to go vegan, y'all. I like chicken too much, but I definitely like vegan food though, and I want to try Slutty Vegan. I really do. All right, so K Michelle and her husband Caston, they are going to their new house, beautiful house. This was a funny scene, a cute scene, just to see like the dynamic between Kay and Caston. So basically, she talks about how long they've known each other. They've known each other since they were 14 and basically have dated off and on forever. But she said they were together for, I think she said 11 or 12 years. Maybe I make that up. Maybe 7, 11 or 12. One of them. Yeah, one of them. And she said, and then they broke up. And then she said, we basically got married because he had no other choice. That was funny. And they actually showed her footage of them at like getting the marriage license. But it just seems like they've been around each other and they know each other well. And I don't know, I like that. It's cool that it's cool. It's cool because I feel like K Michelle deserves like a decent relationship. She done been through hell and back. So good for you, girl. And you married a dentist, girl? Yes. Um, we also find out in this scene that Caston actually owns a successful dental office in Memphis, Tennessee. I always forget that K Michelle is from Tennessee. I always forget that. I always assume Atlanta because I associate her with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So I forget she doesn't even live in the state of Georgia. So they're, actually moving there. And he is eventually going to open a practice in Georgia or in Atlanta. He talks about needing licensing and stuff. They do talk about having a kid. She really wants a little girl. But we all know that she has a son. I wonder if her son will ever show up on camera. To my knowledge, he's never shown up on camera, at least anything that I've seen reality wise. I would be curious if maybe he would on this. I don't know. But then again, who wants to deal with all that if you don't live in the public eye? Why put yourself through it? I don't know. So Shamia meets up with Kelly at this kids clothing store where later Angela joins them. So they meet up and Kelly's energy was not good. Basically, she finds out that her ex-husband did an interview with Tasha K. So we know that couldn't have felt good. Um so she's just like, I don't understand why he's doing interviews. Like, why is he doing interviews? Because she doesn't. I mean, she does talk about him on the show, but not to the point where I feel like he needs to do it. Well, she did say a lot about him in season 1, so I don't know that can't feel good. Angela comes up and joins them. I love the comment that Angela made when she heard about Kelly's ex with Tasha K. She was like, I hate a man that just talks too much. Like that's some bitch shit or bitch stuff or something like that. I thought that was funny. But Kelly just talks about um just him and the debt that she's going through. Another thing I want to bring up, I still like Pinky Cole more, but I want to give Kelly her credit too. She's another one. I appreciate the fact that she too is also showing us her highs and her lows. because she's going through some serious struggle business wise, and with her businesses are attached to her ex-husband because they were started together. So you know what? I love it that us as the audience are getting to see a full spectrum on how this works. And you know what? And Kelly is also rebuilding because in this scene she reveals that she's having a opening of Nana's Grand Chicken and Waffles. I forget the location. She talks about all the debt she's in and the lawsuits. So she's going through it, but she's she's powering through, and I think that's something that people got to see because giving up is so easy when you get to the point where you're just done. Oh, I don't care anymore. I'm done. I can't do it. I've given it all. I'm done. So to see these two women go through what they're going through and they're still powering through, for me personally, that's inspiring. So continue to show it. Kelly, you gonna do what you do, but I'm not gonna take away the business game at all because y'all aren't giving up. So I love that she's doing that. But anyway, so also in this scene, this is when she chooses to tell the ladies about her lunch with Portia and Portia calling her out on sleeping with married men. So they're all kind of like, obviously they're just like, why would she say that? Um, it's funny because Shamia, I had to agree with Shamia. Shamia in her confessional was like, she goes, how can she have her say that to her and then dap it up and still be all good? They're not going to be all good after that. But I think that we all know Kelly did that. We know Kelly did that just to quell the situation for the moment, obviously. And she even says, like, because Angela's like, "Are you going to invite her to the restaurant opening?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'll invite her." Kelly knows what she's doing, but they're not all good. They're not all good. It was funny, even with Portia. And Portia, this is why I think a lot of women online, maybe in real life, don't, or in your real life, don't see it for you because you invite this girl to lunch to drop a bomb on her, basically to humiliate her. And then after humiliating her and I guess she doesn't react the way you want her to, then it's, well, I guess everything's cool. And let me give you a hug. Now, was that the liquor talking? That was probably the liquor talking. I forget what kind of drink she ordered, but it sounded good. If I still drank, I probably would have ordered one. But I don't know. Again, I said this earlier, I'll say it again. The dynamic between these two this season is going to be fascinating because I really feel like they're very similar. I think Kelly and Portia, child, I almost said Portia. Kelly and Portia are similar. But all right, so we go to Drew's movie premiere, this sci-fi film called Run. I'm gonna say this: not a big Drew Sidora fan, but this is the Drew I want to see. Drew, this is what you should have been showing this whole time. I also think she's probably lighter. She seems less burdened because she ain't with that man no more. So, Drew, more power to you. Claudia Jordan was in this scene. A couple of people, a couple like Atlanta royalty, Atlanta celebs were there. So that was cool. Who shows up? So Angela, Portia, and Phaedra show up. But Angela and Phaedra kind of show up around the same time. And it was interesting. You know what? I love Angela because Angela gets right to the listen. I gotta get right to the point. So they start talking, her and Phaedra. It's brief. Angela does bring up those people again, and she feels like Phaedra set her up. I kind of feel like Phaedra does too. I think she does too, but I don't know. We could be wrong. Who knows? But um, I like that Angela addressed it again, even though Phaedra was annoyed. But she was like, you really didn't send those people to me, and Phaedra was like, no, no. And so Angela's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize. Basically, they bury the hatchet on that. They're cool. So that's when Portia comes up. And it's funny because the camera doesn't show her friend at first. She's like, "Can I get a wristband for my friend?" So she brings this woman with her. The woman's name is Sway. She's a lesbian, a stud, and she was really cute. And I just found out that she's also an actress as well. You dating a lot of actors, Portia. A lot of actors. So of course they're all like surprised. You know what's so funny to me though? I'm gonna keep it real. It's funny to watch Phaedra react to that because she's let us know through some of her mannerisms and comments that she definitely, maybe she feels differently towards the LGBTQ community, but she's her energy sometime towards gay men and gay women. I'm like, mainly gay men, really. I was just like, interesting. And even with Portia, like, and I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but Portia, you did do that sermon preaching against homosexuality back in the day. Obviously, you're not the same person anymore. But it's just funny because one thing, death, what is it? Death and taxes and fucking irony are the truest things in life. Cause ain't that shit ironic? But listen, Sway's cute. Portia said she's dating. I thought it was funny because at one point Drew was like, or because Drew, it's sidebar, the irony that Portia came to Drew's premiere and they're getting along. I'm actually glad because I feel like they never really had any real beef anyway. I really think that shit was just for storyline last season. But anyway, now here's what's funny. In this same scene though, they all are reflecting on the fact of Daisha child, Portia's dating history. I combined Portia and dating in my head. And I'm curious what her response is going to be to some of their responses to her dating history. Basically saying that she's fluid and she has an extensive dating history and that she moves really fast. Stuff we've all seen. But it's what Phaedra said. So Phaedra makes a comment basically saying that Portia don't sleep with nobody who ain't got no money. Cause she was like, if the money is right for the pussy. Now, Frack, do you think Frick would appreciate that? I don't think she would. I was like, really? That's what we're doing? So the lovely Angela. So Angela starts telling Phaedra about the conversation that she had with Kelly and Shamia, talking about what Kelly said about Portia. So Portia comes over and she tells her, and about what Kelly was saying, and this was hilarious. Portia's like, so she's spreading her own tea. And Angela told it all. She was like, well, she didn't really like what you said, and she actually called you Horsha. Now here's what's funny. So Portia's shocked. She's like, she called me Horsha? Oh wow, so she's a fake ass bitch. And she's like, we had made up. I thought we were cool. But you know what? I guess we'll discuss it next time I see her. Again, Portia, are we having a bimbo moment? Are we being dumb right now? Why would you think y'all would be cool after that? Even if you did make up. Like, okay, girl. So, um, when Portia was like, well, I guess we'll have that conversation, we'll continue that conversation when I see her. And then Phaedra's like, well, yeah, at her opening of her restaurant. And Portia's like, I'm not going. She called me Horsha. I'm not going to that. Besides, I don't eat waffles. I'm not eating carbs right now. Okay, girl. Um, so I just I don't know. Anyway, so they go and they watch Drew's movie. I actually thought it was cool. They showed a little bit of it. It's like a sci-fi movie. It's a all black female cast. You know what? Again, Drew, please show this type of shit. Show the real shit, not you on virtual dates or real dates that seem totally staged. I'm gonna get to that in the next review. But I like this scene. This was a good scene. But Portia, real quick, Portia, I think you're delusional, babes. I think you're a little delusional. For you to think that Kelly and y'all were gonna walk away cool, you think you would be cool with that? You think you would be cool if the situation were flipped? Girl, stop it. All right, so Kelly's opening of her restaurant, and it's Nana's Grand Chicken and Waffles, Sandy Springs, officially open. So anyway, this was also another good scene, just showing her, talking about her struggle, the ground up, getting that location open. Everybody shows up except for Portia. Cynthia shows up too. I love Cynthia's role on this show. But anyway, I'm not going to digress because I still got to do the next review. And it's 9:48 and I got to get up early and go to work. But anyway, so everybody shows up with Portia and they showed to support. I just want to point out I really like Kelly's speech that she gave at the grand opening. She definitely was going through a lot that particular week. she noted that in the speech and actually cried, or voice broke a little bit. But the fact that when she said, I almost didn't want to show up today, but the fact that she still showed up says a whole lot. Sometimes you got to just power through some shit, just make it to the other side. I'm talking to myself right now because I have been struggling mentally lately, struggling. But I really like that. But anyway, so in this scene, they basically are talking about Portia not showing up. Portia actually sends some flowers and then writes like a shady note in the roses talking about congratulations, Kelly. P.S. We need to talk. Who writes that in a note to an opening? But we know she's being shady. And basically Kelly tells the table just like, what is wrong with her? Like she accused me of sleeping with a married man. Like that's ridiculous. And she's like, we could talk, but like, whatever. So the conversation shifts over to Angela and Phaedra, and Angela reveals that they kind of made up and basically are gonna move on. So Shamia, which I found very interesting, that's why I want to point this out. So Shamia is like, well, how come you guys made up? Why did you do that in front of the group? I want to see how you did it. Shamia, you're weird. You're weird. It's like you can't do anything by yourself. It's really strange. I get it. She's jealous, not jealous. Well, maybe she's jealous. Maybe she feels a little left out because her and her best friend aren't on the same page anymore. It probably won't ever really be ever again, not to the level that they were. But it's just weird how she, made a whole point to say that. I don't know. Shamia, I get it. I get extreme insecurity and like really need like a lot of attention seeking. A lot of attention seeking from Shamia. Um but anyway, so I just think Shamia is really insecure and can't do anything by herself. I mean, hence her being besties with Kelly now. It's like she can't stand on her own. And I think she wants to, hence with this whole business thing. But I don't know. I forgot to mention this though. Right before the conversations shifted, Phaedra actually calls Portia on the phone to ask her why she didn't show up. And they have her on speaker. And then it was funny because her and Kelly actually have a short conversation back and forth, shady, but they do agree to, I guess, to chat. But it was funny though, because in the confessional, Angela was like, why didn't you didn't, Kelly, why didn't you call Portia Horsha to her face? And she was saying Horsha, all in the confessional. Again, this is gonna be an interesting reunion. Um, but anyway, they leave it there. So right before they're getting ready to leave, the restaurant opening, they're all kind of chatting, and Shamia points out, basically confronts Drew about not getting invited to her premiere. Y'all don't get along. So, Shamia, you're a trip. You think you could talk shit to somebody, whether they're wrong or right. Why would you think that they would invite you to something that's special to them that they worked hard on? She worked on a film. She's gonna want people there who genuinely want to be there for her, that are her friends. So why would she invite you, Shamia? You guys don't get along. I don't know. Shamia, girl. Okay, girl. Okay, Shamia. Um, so they have a exchange back and forth. They're going back and forth about why she didn't invite her. And Shamia's mom, who gets on my last fucking nerves, gets in, and then the devil is in the room. And girl, shut up! You and your bad makeup, please go away. These women are in their fucking 40s. Well, I don't know if I don't think Drew is in her. Is Drew in her 40s? There's no way Drew's in the same age bracket as me. She looks younger than me. I think I'm older than her. I think we're older than her. But I don't know. That got on my nerves. I don't know. That whole dynamic there, that's never gonna be anything more either, in my opinion. They're never gonna be back on the same page. But I don't know. So the episode actually ends with K Michelle in Memphis performing, and then that's when we find out that there were complications with her previous surgery and she had to go to the hospital. All right, so that brings me to episode 3. Okay, so we open with K Michelle in the hospital. So basically, we find out that when K Michelle was going to perform for the tribute to Reese Palmer, apparently one of her surgical scars opened up and basically was like leaking fluid. I'm sorry, it's shaking. And she said when she stood up, the whole back of her dress was wet. So they had to like basically quickly clean her up. And she went out there, performed, and then basically left and went straight to the hospital. That's a fucking professional right there. That's a fucking G. Shout out to you, K Michelle. Um, Again, I'm glad that she's showing this journey for everybody. All these people getting these BBLs and getting going under the knife and stuff and not really understanding what you're doing. And she said she got illegal butt injections and she said the silicone will never fully be out of her body. She will always have silicone floating in her body for the rest of her life. Um and what's great is she said that the girls were showing love and support. I love that she had full glam. She had full glam at the hospital. I'm not mad at you, Kay. But I know that sucks. I remember when she was on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood and was hooked to an IV machine after having surgery and still almost fought Lyrica. That shit was hilarious. Anyway, different show. Um, so we go over to Drew goes over to Angela's house and they chatted up. This was a good scene. Angela basically talks about her real estate and how she lost $2 million in the four houses and she had to foreclose on them. She bit off more than she could chew, basically. And she wants to start back over. She recently just purchased a house that she's gonna flip. And she wants to succeed. She's like, I want to do this for me. This is something personal. I get it. Um so also in this scene, Angela, of course, brings up Drew and the guy Black, and Drew reveals that Black is actually going to be in town. So Angela's like, "Oh, so you're going on a date?" And she's like, "Well, what's a date?" Drew, this is where you lose me because you do all these like theatrics when we all know you're fucking homeboy. You and Dude are fucking bumping uglies, baby. You were getting the D, and there's nothing wrong with that. I understand why you're not going to admit it out loud on television because you are still technically married and actively in the middle of a divorce. That I understand, but you're just I don't know. I love how Angela in her confessional was like, "Okay, girl, we all know you're getting the D. Come on." But real quick, before they get into that though, Drew does talk about how because she's been working a lot more, she reveals that basically Drew pays her bills with her acting. Um, which is cool. And much to my chagrin, I didn't realize how much acting she was actually doing. So you know what? But she says that because she works a lot, she doesn't get to spend a lot of time with her kids. She's traveling a lot. And they actually show a scene where it's her son, Josiah, looks grown as hell. I swear, these kids are making me realize how old my ass is getting. What is he like? Josiah's got to be what, 12, 13? He's got to be. He's got to be a teenager. Um, but anyway, she's in the scene with her son Josiah and her daughter. Her daughter seems really upset, and she's laying on the bed with her, like, "Are you upset because mommy's gone a lot?" Now, I'm curious if that is one of the reasons why Drew's kids were missing a lot of school. As we know, she temporarily lost custody of her kids with Ralph. That whole situation, I'm not gonna kick somebody when they're down. Um, it spoke volumes. The fact that she lost temporary custody and that she has to leave the house, I find that very interesting. I think, Drew, you painted a certain narrative of your ex-husband and forgot to include yourself in the narrative, and now we're kind of seeing the real in real time. Ralph's still a fuck face. I don't like Ralph, but I have more compassion for Drew, even though I don't really care for her that much. I have more compassion for her because she is a woman and she is a mom. And that scene, the little scene with her and her daughter, it was only a taste, but it was enough to say a lot. And I do feel like this particular season, I feel like we're getting a more authentic Drew, believe it or not. I feel like Drew Sidor, she still does her fake shit, doesn't want everybody to know everything that's going on. But I do feel like there's something more genuine coming here. I really do. Because I'm getting I feel like I can emote with her more. I don't know. I think I used that word in the wrong context. Go ahead, judge me. But anyway, so we go back to K Michelle in the hospital. She's getting all dolled up to leave. And of course her husband's like, you should be going to rest. And she's like, I know, but I'm not. So she goes and meets up with Cynthia, Portia, and Phaedra to get their nails done. And she's basically telling the ladies what happened at the country music, the inductee Hall of Fame. Child, I just made that up. The situation with the country music. I can't think of the name of the award ceremony or the ceremony. But she's telling them about how when she stood up and there was fluid, Portia's ass is interrupting. Was it a miscarriage? So in K Michelle's confessional, she was like, now why would that bimbo say that? And what was weird is how she interrupted her to say it. It was really weird. And then again interrupts her and was like, was the fluid clear or so like obviously Kay is annoyed. In the scene, she kind of side eyes her a little bit, but then she lets it go and continues with the story. But you know she was pissed. Well, she was pissed about it. She didn't like it. Um, and it was funny. So she kind of says something to Portia about it. Portia's like, "Well, I know when I had my miscarriage." It kind of goes into her whole situation, and then you could tell that Kay was annoyed. It was funny because they're all trying to be nice to her, and she's like, "Well, how am I supposed to fight with y'all when y'all are all being nice to me?" And Cynthia's like, "Well, when you feel better, then then you can fight." It was kind of funny. That was a funny little moment, but it was obvious that Kay was not feeling what Portia said. I'm not gonna lie. When I first watched it, I was like, why would she say that? First of all, why are you interrupting her? And to say that, Portia be having these bimbo moments. But then I wonder, like, are they bimbo moments or is it a reality television moment and you just know when to get your moment? I don't know. Either way, it was a moment. So they actually start getting their nails done, well, their feet done. They're getting pedicures. Kay asked how the grand opening of Kelly's restaurant went, and then she's like, "Portia, did you go?" Portia's like, "Why did you go, Portia?" So Portia's telling them, like, basically she's telling everybody that I said she's sleeping with a married man, and then she called me a whore, and all this stuff. And again, Portia, I don't know why are you surprised? Why are you surprised by any of this? I'm just curious. Um, so basically it was funny because K Michelle was kind of laughing at it. But I just again, Portia, why are you surprised? But she does say how they're gonna have a conversation, and she talked about the lazy read with the flowers, broken flowers from a broken person, whatever. But it was funny. So in this scene, Phaedra says something about a hot pocket, right? And Cynthia's asked, "What's a hot pocket?" I thought that was hilarious because I never heard hot pocket till Phaedra on this show in a scene in on seasons with Cynthia. So I thought that was funny that Cynthia didn't know what Hot Pocket was. But okay. So we go over to Shamia and her husband. Um this scene was cringy and uncomfortable for me. And I felt bad for Shamia. So basically it's her and her husband filming, pushing their one daughter in the stroller. Um and they're walking around in their neighborhood, and she's telling him about how they're going to move forward. She's going to move forward with the company in Grenada, this rum company. um and he's like silent, and then he goes, okay. So then that's when she starts telling about how he almost ruined the deal. And they show him on a conference call with them, and he's asking them really important questions about their distribution and how they're going to do this. And then at one point he was like, I don't think this is basically y'all ain't got enough money to be doing all this. I don't know if this is a lucrative. I don't know if this is lucrative. It's going to make money. um his delivery isn't the best, but I think her husband is probably 100% a realist. um but his body language where he's just like this whenever, in the words of Jerry Seinfeld, the higher somebody's hand gets up on their face and into their hair, can't be good. Her husband was here and here with it. I will say this again, Shamia, I respect the fact that you're showing us this part of your journey with business, because let me tell you something. You don't know a lot and you're very naive, but I like the fact that you are okay with showing us that and then showing us how you overcome that. So this season with Atlanta showing them their hustle and their basically them showing their business goals and the steps to get through to it. That gold star A+ for me. Like that's I love that because it's still entertaining and it's still real. We're still gonna have our dumb shit, but that's some real shit. Um, Shami and her husband have no chemistry, and I'm gonna leave that there. So we get to Pinky. Pinky goes and meets up with her attorney. This was a great scene. This was a great scene. I actually cried in this scene. She made me cry in the scene. So she comes in and she's ready to move forward with her bankruptcy. She's going to be filing for bankruptcy. She hasn't even told her husband yet, which is wild. Um and her whole thing is I don't want to bother my husband with this. I love this because Pinky is the strong friend. She's the strong, quiet one, and or not even the strong, quiet one. I would say I'm the strong, loud, funny one, giggling. Meanwhile, I'm fucking dying on the inside. I'm just not gonna tell you all that. Well, I might have just did a little bit, but I, I don't know. Pinky, girl, you rubbed me the wrong way in the first episode, and I'm in love with you now. But so I love in this scene. So she sits down, and just before she's about to start talking, she was like, I need to shut this door. She shuts the door and she starts telling her story and she's crying. Basically, I said this in the last review, but Pinky, she overexpanded and it seems like she hired the wrong people. And in this scene, she reveals that one of the people that she hired to, to help her with her vision was actually embezzling money from her. And what was really interesting in this scene too is she's telling her lawyer that the 14 franchises that she opened, she was a personal guarantor on them. And why did me and the lawyer at the same time were like, your attorney okayed that? And she was like, yeah. And he goes, okay. Um, this was such a good scene because she talks about being $2.1 million or no, over what she say, $20 million in debt and just having to deal with this stuff alone mentally, not trying to bother her husband with it. This was a good scene because she broke down. This is the shit people need to see. This is the shit people need to see. That is how you pick yourself up. You go through a storm, you get through the storm, and you pick yourself up. This was a good scene. Pinky, you had me crying along with you. Um, I love this. I love the direction that this franchise is going in. A lot of people were hating on it at first because the casting of K. Michelle, let's be real. But to me, this season feels more this season feels more authentic. I feel like this season is more relatable than it's ever been. Um Drew Sidora and her date with Black. So Black and her meet up at this restaurant. He comes walking in a little late. He pulls up in some fancy sports car. I don't know. I don't care about cars like that. Especially like sports cars. Maybe a Lamborghini. I don't know. That's just the first thing that came through. Black car. It was cool. I'm tall, so to me that would be a nightmare trying to get out of that bitch because it just seemed very low to the ground. But anyway, so he comes walking in with these Beijing fucking dude, dude, dude. And he's got the Beijing and the beard and the boop, boop, and the black and looking like a fucking young Jermaine Jackson and shit, giving Count Chocula with dreadlocks. Um, I felt like he was acting in this scene. I felt like dude was there for the cameras. That is how I felt. Um, just their conversation. We're best friends, best friends, like the best, like best of friends. She's saying this. It's just what's crazy to me is so Drew, you're allowed to sleep with whoever you want, you're allowed to date whoever you want, but it's the way you spin it, the way you bring it to us. You're over here trying to peddle this relationship the way, or friendship, because that's what you're calling it, friendship, with us the way you did with that girl with the chick Ty. And we all know that you guys had a whole situation going on. Um, I don't know. This scene for me, it didn't feel, I don't know. I just felt like dude was there for the cameras. I felt like that's what I felt like. And I just realized I skipped a whole scene, but it was heavy on my soul. Listen, Drew, I want Drew Sidora, I hope you're happy. I want you to be happy. But I feel like this might not be the right road to happiness. I don't know. I don't know, girl. But you know what? Listen, if the dick's good, then you know what? Do you, boo. Do you. I totally skipped the scene with Cynthia, Kay, and Pinky. I'm sorry. That the Drew scene, I was so excited I had to talk about it. So the scene before Drew and Black meet up, Kay Michelle, Cynthia, and Pinky all meet up. This was a great scene. So basically, they talk about Kay Michelle's tweets. So Cynthia asked Kay, you know, what were those tweets about? And it was funny. It was like, now we read Kay Michelle's mean tweets. So she basically was calling somebody a bimbo, and she reveals that she was talking about Portia, and she tells them about how she felt about the miscarriage comment that Portia liked. She didn't like it. So Cynthia kind of takes up for Portia, not takes up, but just tells Kay, like, I don't know if she actually meant it like that. You know, maybe you should, basically you should address it with her and let her know how you feel, but clear that up, you know. In her confessionals, I'm sorry you guys, but in Cynthia's confessional, she does say that she doesn't think that it's that deep, but again, they need to talk about it. Uh Kay Michelle cracks me up. So she was like, and what's up with Phaedra? All she does is giggle. That shit was hilarious. So Pinky goes, oh, I don't know about her. She's telling everybody that I eat meat. So that's something that I think is going to continue on, because I'm seeing that in real time in the, like, right now. So she's talking about how she keeps hearing that Phaedra is saying that she eats meat, and Pinky's like, you know, that's not cool. That I'm on the board. I'm on. I work with PETA. I'm on the board. You know, you're playing with my money. You know, I'm a vegan business owner. That's potentially playing with my money. Um, so Cynthia's just like, you know, these new girls, like, yeah. And what's funny is they're not new girls, they're women. And Kay Michelle been around the block a few times in the reality TV game. Pinky's new, but I think Pinky is fitting in just fine, doing a great job. But this was a good scene. It's funny though, because I think Cynthia saw that Kay Michelle and Portia, I think they're worthy adversaries for each other. I think they can give each other a run for their money. I think they're just as powerful as the other. So I'm not gonna lie, an argument between those two would be fucking hilarious. Really interesting. Um, But one thing I do want to add in this scene, though, I like that Pinky talked about how she wants to be in a group of women where she feels safe, where she feels like she can share her secrets with. And she said, you know, I want to be friends with people who are going to support me at my lowest, and when it's embarrassing and when it's not good. And she wants to know if she can have that with this group of ladies. Girl, of course not. But it was a good scene. It was genuine. Okay, so the next scene would have been the date with Drew and Black. We went over that. So Angela and her daughter go to her investment property that she just bought. Um, there was a spider in every single room in that house. And I'm talking big ass fucking arachnophobia looking fucking spiders. Fuck that. I still have never finished the movie Arachnophobia. And I ain't even scared of spiders like that. But it was a fucking lot. That house had a lot of spiders. Um, I felt bad for Angela in this scene because it just seems like she's really wants to, she doesn't like that she failed with the four houses in real estate, and she wants to do this again, and she wants to do it for herself. And her daughter says, as they're walking through the house, she's like, are you doing this for a profit or are you doing this for you? And Angela's doing this for herself. It's I guess she wants to prove that she can actually do something and follow through with it and be successful. And in her head, she's like, I don't care if the profit is $10, at least it's a profit. I guess it's more of a personal thing for her. Um, and she also talks about how, she went through a lot with losing her mom last year. This scene got me because my dad died less than a month ago. I'm not gonna cry, y'all. I'm not gonna cry. I understood. I understood Angela in this scene because it's hard. You lose a parent and you feel lost. And she said she felt lost. Anyway, I really like Angela, and I hope that she does make a profit, and I hope that she does well for her. And I know that I don't think you ever really get over a parent's death, no matter how old you are. But this episode killed me. I cried in the Pinky Cole scene. I cried in the Angela scene, and now I'm crying with y'all. Goddamn. Anyway, good scene. I need to stop crying. So we meet with Shamia and her business team, her lawyer, her friends, her supporters, and they have a Zoom call with the rum company. This was a good scene too. This was a good scene, and this was important because we got to see in this scene that Shamia is going on this adventure of joining up with this rum company in Grenada, and the fact that she doesn't know a lot about this business. And we got to see it in this scene. So basically, in this scene, she wants to partner. She definitely is going to partner up with them, and she wants to have her own line of rum with the peach flavoring. So she learns in this scene from the folks in Grenada, peaches don't grow in Grenada. That is a fruit that is native to the United States only. So she didn't know that. So then, of course, they talk about how they would have to import the peaches to the island, and then, of course, getting the bottles and having the bottles FDA approved. And she didn't know any of this. And I like that she showed us this because it was a real moment. This is stuff that you should do research on, but she didn't know to do that. And I like that she showed that. And I like that she was humble in the process and she didn't be like, freak out or whatever. She received it. This was a good scene. This was a good episode. I'm liking this season so far. I'm seeing realness. I'm seeing real shit, and I'm here for it. We're getting real shit from Drew Sidora. Hell hath frozeth over. But no, I digress. But I'm just saying this was a good scene. So we get to Miss Pinky and her husband. They have a date night, and it was funny. She's like, it's hard to have a date night with all these kids. I fell out when she was trying to name her kids in the last episode and she couldn't remember her youngest son's name. That shit was funny as hell. But so anyway, they have this dinner, and they do bring up her debt, her lawsuits and stuff like that. And she basically tells him, you know, I don't want to elaborate too much because I don't want to ruin the time that we're having. But this was a good scene. We're getting realness. So Kay, Michelle, and Portia meet up, and they sit down, and Kay basically tells her she didn't like the miscarriage comment, and she thought it was inappropriate and a little offensive. She tells Portia, she was like, I'm confused why you even mentioned that because you already knew what my issue was. It was from my previous surgery. So Portia's trying to backtrack. She starts saying basically like, I wasn't trying to be insensitive. I've had miscarriage issues too. And she starts talking about the miscarriages she had, her infertility issues, all of that. And what's funny is in Kay's confessional, she's like, I don't care if if we've suffered the same ailments. That was inappropriate for you to ask that at that moment. And it was weird. It was just weird, awkward timing to even bring that up. It was very, very bizarre. But Portia's like, Portia, she's like, that was that. I apologize. That wasn't my intention. And Kay is like, I was really mad at you, because we've discussed this before. You knew what I was going through. And Portia's like, well, I didn't know that it was. Well, Shamia told me it was this, and then she's like, well, I didn't know that it was your surgery from 8 years ago. And then she kind of stops talking, and you could tell it was pissing Kim or Kay off. Kim, her name's Kim. It was pissing Miss Kimberly Michelle off. Um, and and we know Kay ain't let that shit go because she was talking shit this past week about it. But Portia, I don't know. Portia, I think this approach, the way you approach people, the way you do the almost like being confused, that shit's not gonna work on Kay Michelle. It's not gonna work on her. I love that Kay volunteered at the fact that she called Portia a bimbo. And then Portia's like, oh, you were talking about me. She's like, yeah, I was mad as hell at you. And she tells her, she's like, you guys say bitch, I'm Southern, I'm a country girl. I use the word bimbo. So I know Portia was shocked when she realized that she was talking about her. Um, and then but Portia was like, well, I'm glad that we could talk about this. And you didn't go to the next girl and say, well, she said this. I love Kay's like, well, I did that too. So Portia starts laughing. That's why I like Kay Michelle. She keeps it 100. Kept it 100. Yeah, I definitely went back and talked shit about you. I was mad. So Portia's like, well, this is good for sisterhood. Moving forward, we can come directly to each other. We know that sisterhood is not going to last that long. I am really enjoying this season of Real Housewives of Atlanta so far. Season 17 has definitely been good so far. I'm definitely going to try to be more consistent because I actually feel good doing this, even though I cried. I'm sorry, you guys. But anyway, stay hydrated, stay awesome, be nice to each other, and I'm going to go return these videotapes.